When we start talking about geothermal power, there's actually three main types that we want to hit on. So the first one is direct use, then we'll talk about electricity production, and finally we'll talk about heat pumps, which is different from electricity production. But the first one we're going to talk about in this video is just direct use. So it still counts as a type of geothermal power. This is perhaps the one that's been around also for the longest. So when you think about hot springs or people taking public baths in China, or where some of the oldest known ones are, there's also the use of geysers to heat homes and even greenhouses in the 1920s. There has been a long history of people using hot water that comes out of the ground to heat things. So this still counts as geothermal power. Even though you may think of this as being too simplistic, it still is a very real and applicable use. So they actually did turn this relatively quickly into a geothermal power plant, which is why I'll be looking at electricity next. Because if you could get really hot water out of the ground that turned into steam, well, that sounds useful now, doesn't it? So again, geothermal power has actually been around a long time. But again, with direct use, water is going to be pumped down into a well where it's warm, then brought back to the surface. So this can heat homes, cities, greenhouses, even ponds for fish. So somewhere when I was looking into this, I've actually found a heated pond for alligators in Idaho. So again, usually you see things like greenhouses, but you can actually find kind of interesting uses for it to try to keep ponds warm for various aquatic or semi-aquatic species.